No, don't control.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to College in Real Life, where we present information for you to get through college with and to be more successful with. I'm Felix this morning, your host, and also with me is...
I'm Casey. I'm your co-host from Honors.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina. I'm a certified advisor in the Business and Public Service Advising Institute. I'm the current vice president for the San Antonio College Staff Senate and the secretary for the Executive Staff Senate.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you this morning. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. So, Sabrina, most important question of the day. Who is your favorite Harry Potter character and why?
Well, it will have to be Hermione because I think she's a go-getter, she's tough, and I think she doesn't take no for an answer.
Excellent. Nice. I love Hermione too. She's pretty rockin' awesome, and she'd be a feminist.
Yes, exactly.
All right, awesome. So Felix, what are we concentrating on today?
Okay, so today we're going to talk about Spring 2019 registration. Mm-hmm. And so we have our resident expert, Sabrina, to help us weed through some of the problems and some of the concerns and some of the mix-ups about the questions about spring registration.
All right, so I'm ready.
All right, so spring registration begins on November 12th, okay, and it opened up for everybody on November 20th. And so we're going to talk about like how registration, what are some things we should look out for as students, what kind of concerns we'll have. I don't know if you want to lead off.
I think the most important thing for students is that they meet with their advisor early on. When they are meeting with their advisor, they're letting their advisor know what their career goals are, what their transfer goals are, so that they're prepared and they're registering for courses that are going to be utilized in their degree plan or in their transfer plans.
Right.
So I'm telling them reach out early. Another important aspect is to register early, right? Because when students register for early, they have a really good selection of classes. If they want to take classes on a certain day or if they want to take classes online, if they do that early, they don't run the risk of that class being full.
Right. Okay. And so they can use their GPS program, the Goal plus Plan equals Success, inside of their Alamo ACES?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good tool.
Yeah, so I've had some students use GPS, right? Because obviously, like we've already worked with them and their ISP is loaded there.
Right.
But some students like to use like the Alamo Scheduler.
Yes.
So what would you say are the big differences between the two and what might be more valuable for students?
So if they are using the GPS, it's more of a class planning tool. It's not something that is set in stone. It's something that they can edit. Let's say, for example, a course is not available in the semester that they were originally planning to take it. They can always change it. So we look at it as more of a course planning tool. The scheduler is different in the term or in the sense that not only are they doing course planning, but it's something that will also assist in the registration process. Okay. So in the GPS, when they are creating those ISPs, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to register for that class because sometimes the class won't be available in that semester. So they physically will have to go in and register.
Yeah.
Okay, and through the scheduler, they create the schedule and then it registers them?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can do either or, whatever their preference is. Some students they don't know what they want to take just yet, so maybe they'll, on the planner, they'll put life and physical science versus actually putting a class, and they want to see what's available.
Right. Okay. Now, in the scheduler, if they go ahead and map everything out, do they still get to choose their professor, or is that like chosen for them?
If they are looking in the scheduler, it's actually showing them the class that they're planning to register for.
So all the information's given.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yes.
See, this is why we're so excited to have you.
Exactly.
We have all the information that we need.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else? What else we need? What else is important to know about registration?
So I think that one of the things to remember for a student to, when they register for classes, is to follow the steps on how to do it. They go into their ACES, student tab, student web services, student, and then they go into the current term. And so when they go into the term, they're going to come across a drop-down box that looks like this.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of times students click on CE instead of the regular semester, and so CE is continuing education, which is non-academic, and it may get a warning signal saying please re-register for the current term. So that'll cause problems and delays for students like registering for
Yeah,
classes.
that's one of the most common issues that we get with students is they're selecting the wrong term. They select
Right.
CE and it will tell them that they need to reapply for admission.
Exactly.
So a big percentage of the calls that we get with students having issues is that they're just selecting the wrong term.
Right.
So it's either going to be a fall, a spring, or a summer. CE is solely for students who are on the continuing education program.
Correct. Okay. So the other thing that comes up a lot too is when the students register for classes, they'll come across a screen like this. Okay. Are you familiar with this screen? Can you?
Yeah, I've seen it before. So essentially this is a survey that takes information biographically. So it'll ask students about their personal information. Students will need to fill this out the first time that they're registering through the add and drop screen.
Okay. Okay. Are they able to change the information on the left-hand side, or do they just manipulate the information on the right-hand side?
It's just the right-hand side that they manipulate. I believe that the left-hand side is taken from the banner or what they've submitted through Apply Texas.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right.
If students are having, I've had some students have like some technical issues with this where they save it and it doesn't save and they have to
Exactly.
keep doing that. What's your advice for students who are having some trouble with that?
I believe it's always going to be a browser issue and a timeout issue. So students, make sure when you are doing the survey that you're doing it in a timely manner. I would say spend no more than maybe 10 to 15 minutes on it. And if you are going to complete the survey, do it on something like Google or Safari, because sometimes our software has issues in the Internet Explorer. So I always recommend either Google or Safari for students.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Good. All right. Those are the big things that I've come across. So thank you. Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about, and we've all had experience with students registering. What do you both believe is the biggest question that you get in an advising session in terms of when a student is planning out their semester?
Do you want to take that one first, or?
Well, I'm thinking through, so I advise honors students, and as part of the Honors Academy, they get early registration. So these past 2 months, I've been working with students nonstop getting their ISPs done, and they have a deadline of October 30th to have it all squared away. And so for them, it's just more of really basic, like how do I upload these things into GPS? So still familiarizing themselves with the technology. And then they have a lot of questions regarding transfer, because we do try to plot out like their transfer classes early on too. So it's not, I don't come across any huge issues. I think just the big thing is learning and being comfortable with clicking around, figuring out GPS, not being afraid that you're going to like register for a class and or put it on your plan in that you're actually in the class, because sometimes they'll think that. And I'm like, no, this is not set in stone. Like you don't have to follow this completely. There's wiggle room for it.
Yeah.
So some things like that. What about you?
A lot of times I see students that they just don't know which classes to register for. So I think it's important to either create an ISP, like you said, go inside the GPS program, and you can't break it, so go ahead and just go in there and mess with it. So, which is really good to just do.
Yeah.
But also talk to the advisor, meet with your advisor in your designated institute, and we can map out a plan for you which classes to take, for the next few semesters. And also talk with the transfer advisor so you know specific classes to take to see if they will be transferred over to the university. So
I think for me, it's students deciding whether they want to be part-time or full-time, and what exactly to take and how to take it. I think we do a great job at explaining when they're in new student orientation the difference between high school and college. How high school, the schedule is already pre-built for you, so you have to come to class Monday through Friday.
Exactly.
And then when they're in college, they get to decide what classes they want to take based off what they register for. So it could be maybe a Monday and Wednesday courses, or Tuesday and Thursday courses. A lot of the times I see students unsure about whether they want to be part-time or full-time. Some of them, or a lot of them, are actually working. So they kind of look to us to guidance to see, hey, can I handle the 2 classes? Can I handle the 4 classes? So I think that's one of the biggest things is what I tell students is look at your schedule, whether it be your work schedule, your personal schedule, and then look at the class availability to see if what's going to work best for you. And that can be different for everybody. Some students work full-time and go to school full-time. There are students that work full-time, but they can only come part-time. And I tell them, as long as you're taking courses, you're working towards your goal.
Exactly. Very true. Even if you're taking just the one, like you're
Correct.
saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so everyone, I truly believe that everyone has their own path. And I tell students, follow your own path. Don't compare yourself to other students or other people you know, because we're all going to get to our end goal, right? But we might have a different journey.
Exactly. Very true. Good advice.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
No, it's super encouraging. I've had a number of students now that you're bringing it up, right? I'm like, oh yeah, we've had a lot of students come in and say that, and especially I think students who are non-traditional, who are older,
Absolutely.
who feel like, yeah, if they're part-time. Some students are coming to mind right now, and they're like, I'm so old, like I need to be doing this now, like I need to set an example for my kids, and then, you know, if they are not living up to what their expectations for themselves are, then they start freaking out, and they're like, I'm failing, I'm not doing this. So I find that incredibly encouraging, I think important for students to remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we've put on these programs here, because it's college in real life. So don't be discouraged. You know, talk to your advisor, because we're your success coaches in a sense, to encourage you to continue taking classes, to find out what is hindering you from being successful in that individual class. And we know that you work. We know that you're a human being on earth and having life happen around you. So, you know, we want to give you ideas and shortcuts and ideas to do this. So.
And the great thing that I love about San Antonio College is that there's so many resources out there for students. So
yes, tremendous resources. So.
You know, students, sometimes we forget how to do things, right? We forget how to register. Students can always go to the Slack lab and have a work study show them how to register if they forget how to register. If a student needs a referral to resources, they can always visit an advisor. They can also always visit the Advocacy Center if they're in need of any resources. So I think that's something that advisors do. We also act as a liaison for students to let them know what's out there, what their possibilities are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think SAC's really good about providing a lot of resources, providing information about where to find resources, and I think it's a good tutor for students when they're thinking about transfer, because, practicing looking for things now, once they get to the transfer university, then they're like, oh yeah, like I need to see if UTSA has this available.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
So.
All right.
I was going to say also for resources, we have in the second floor of the Moody Learning Center, there's a kiosk where students can check out laptops, either Apple or PC, and just use for a couple hours in the lobby there. Or if they're lacking a textbook, then they can go to the library and possibly check one out if it's available.
Yeah.
So.
Tidbits.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So.
Okay, so payment obligation. So how,
Yes.
we've
Yeah.
now gotten
money.
to the registration part.
Yeah.
How do students go in and make payments?
So one important thing that we speak about in advising sessions for students is that if they are relying on financial aid, that they ensure that everything is in place for their financial aid to be awarded. They can look that up through their ACES account. If they have any specific questions, they can also visit the financial aid office. I tell students to, once they register for a class, sometimes students will register for a class and then just wait for the beginning of the semester. Say no, check on your status, because there is a payment deadline, and if students do not pay, or if they're not on financial aid, or financial aid is not going to pay on time, they run the risk of the course being dropped. So I tell students, once you register, check on the status of that class a couple times before the semester starts, just to make sure that you weren't dropped for non-payment. If a student is interested in dropping a course, I always recommend that they drop before the class starts so that they can get 100% refund.
Exactly, that's important.
Yeah, that is important. We have a refund percentage deadline, so before the semester drop to get that 100%, you still have some time to drop while in the class in the first couple of weeks, but the percentage is not 100. It drops down to 70%, and then it lowers, every week that passes by.
Exactly. Yeah.
And since we're on that, right, you mentioned 70% after the classes started. Can you talk a little bit also just about like drops in general and census date?
Yeah. So we have two important dates, a census date and a last day to withdrawal date. So students always ask us, what is the difference? So census date is when we report numbers to the state. So in order for the student to not have a negative effect on the 6 drop policy, we always recommend that they drop prior to the census date. Once the census date passes, they can still drop the course until the last withdrawal date. But if they drop that course after the census date, it affects the 6 drop policy. So it will count against one of the 6 drops that a student can make in their tenure. And then it also can affect financial aid through the completion rate. So students have to complete at least 67% of the coursework. And so if a student fails a class or if a student drops the course after the census date, that lowers the completion rate. So that might not affect them right away, but it can have future effects on them.
Exactly. And so for the spring semester, the census date is going to be February 6th for the 16-week semester, and then also the last day you mentioned to withdraw from a class is going to be April 22nd for the 16-week. But talk to your advisor to find out the exact dates for that.
Correct.
And you can also download the academic calendar from the district website as well. So.
Yes, I always recommend, I know when students come in for the first time and they go to orientation, they get a planner that has these dates, but I recommend that every year students go into the district website so that they can get a copy of the academic calendars. It has a lot of important dates with census. It has important dates on last withdrawal date. There's even a calendar for the refund deadline date that I was talking about.
Yes.
Last day to submit or last day to have a payment plan or set up a payment plan, which is also another option for students who are either paying out of pocket or who are relying on financial aid and it's not going to be paid out in time. Students can set up a payment plan and make payment arrangements that way so that they don't have to pay all at once and so that their courses don't get dropped.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And real quick, since we're still in fall, what, right? What is the last day to withdraw for students who might be considering that for this semester?
Last day to withdraw. I didn't bring the calendar with me.
I didn't bring it either, but I think it's November. It's sometime next month.
Okay.
Yeah, November 12th, I think.
It's somewhere around 12 to 15. I was looking at it yesterday.
Okay.
But I always, whenever I meet with students, I don't go off the top of my head. I show them because that's the kind of learner that I am. So in order to give a peace of mind also to the student, I'll take this out and then I'll tell them, look, this is the last day withdrawal. It's published.
Exactly.
Just to reassure them that, what I'm saying is accurate and it's on the website. They can access it at any time.
Right, exactly.
Just for reassurance. And then we also have copies of this, so we can actually give them a copy too when we're in an advising session.
Yeah. Just a reminder to advisors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the payment deadline for the spring 2019 registration is going to be December 9th.
Okay.
At 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So students need to have a payment arrangement made by that date, either by somebody else paying for it, them paying out of pocket with a payment plan or in cash, or with a financial aid assistance. So.
Yeah, so if they're paying with cash, we always recommend that they go to the bursar's office to pay.
Yes.
If they're utilizing a credit card, we recommend that they go into the ACES portal so that they can pay.
Right.
Even though the deadline is on the weekend, we do recommend that students try to drop the course during the week in case they're having any technical issues or they have any questions prior to paying their account.
Exactly.
Cool.
Good.
Okay. Well, if we don't have any further questions, I have a good closing question for you now.
Yes. Yes.
Most important question, even more important than the Harry Potter question.
Okay.
What is your favorite Game of Thrones character?
The dragon. No, just kidding.
Dragons are evil.
Khaleesi, of course.
Duh. Okay.
Duh.
Yeah,
All right.
I love Khaleesi. Yes, strong woman empowerment.
exactly.
right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your favorite character? What is your favorite character in Game of Thrones?
That's a tough one. I really like Khaleesi as well, for the same reasons as you do. She's boss.
Yes.
But I also really like Arya. Arya
okay.
is her own little boss.
There you go.
too.
Yeah.
And Brienne. Like, who doesn't love Brienne? Brienne
Yeah.
is like the loyal friend that really doesn't exist, like, in society today.
True.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Sometimes.
You have one, Felix?
I don't have a favorite character yet, but I'm working
Yeah.
on it. So
All right.
yeah, yet.
If you were to pick a song that describes your life,
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
what would it be?
Look at her
Dun,
throwing
dun,
them back
dun.
at us.
I know.
Ooh, that's a really tough one.
It is. We'll get back to you on that one.
Mine would be Vivir Mi Vida by Mark Anthony.
Okay.
Because it's just like things are going to happen,
Yeah.
right? Things are going to happen in our life. We're going to go through struggles, but live your best life. You're alive, right?
Exactly.
You know,
Yes.
you have so much to look forward to. So that's why I would say that's my song life right there. That describes my whole mentality.
Yeah.
So
I like
Yeah.
it. That's cool.
Mine, I think, is actually a hymn. So I grew up in a really strong church background, and so totally different genre. That's okay.
that's
We're
perfectly
in South
okay.
Texas, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So there was an old hymn that I loved from when I was a kid. It was just called "My God and I," and it like portrays like walking in fields with God and having a really good tight knit relationship. So that one would be mine. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. You're up, Felix.
You're up. Tag.
I don't have a
Tag, you're
specific
it.
song. I like too much,
You like
too many like genres, too many songs, so much music. So, like my
Yeah.
life is a soundtrack. I have like
So different.
yeah,
moods.
exactly,
Yeah.
different everything, like road tripping, everything. So,
I have one last question for you guys.
okay,
What about higher education drew you to what you do? I can start off with mine, and so
Okay.
give y'all some time to think
All right.
about it.
Yeah.
So, when I was an undergraduate student, I was originally going to major in political science. And it's okay to change your major, right?
Yes.
You know, because we know
With your
sometimes, you know,
advisor.
with your advisors. Make sure you visit your advisor. But it happens, right? Sometimes as we're in college, we figure out, you know, this is really not what we want to do. But as I was in college, I realized I was more passionate about, you know, being of service. And so I decided to change my major with my advisor's consent to public administration. Then I became a work study student, right?
Right.
And I fell in love with education, right? And so I realized that working in education, I could be of service to others and also help people like me, first generation college student. And that could be my way to give back.
Right.
And so through all of my experiences in higher ed and all my work experiences, that has been my sole drive, right? Is to help students, to impact the community, and
Definitely.
this is the way to do it. This is the way that I can do it.
right. I like that. It's powerful. It's good to give back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't necessarily have a draw to higher education, but I've always been drawn to working with students. So I have a missions background. I originally, I think my first real job was working as a teacher at a small private Christian school in South Florida. And I had been working in missions there, moved back to Texas just because Texas is home, and started working across the street at the Church of Christ Student Center as an activities coordinator. And so I really just enjoyed the population of students that we have here, like this demographic. There are so many just great stories that students have. And so I met Dr. Lucelli through there, and he said, hey, like you should apply for an advising position. So I applied for it. Just really needing to make money, if we're going to be honest.
Yes.
But since I've been here and been working with students, I think some of the most meaningful times that I have here are when I'm helping students figure out what it is that they want to do with their lives, and helping them realize that they have a lot of potential already. So yeah, the empowerment process is really important to me. Like for example, just yesterday I had a student who she's gone back and forth between wanting to do public health and physical therapy, and she's finally decided she can do both. And I'm like, yes, do it. And so it just kind of struck her because she came in and did a workshop for her peers on feminine hygiene, really, and feminine health. And so seeing her get up there and just share a lot of the information, I could just see it physically, in her, something switch over and change. Yeah, and so she came afterwards to me and just like, Casey, I feel a renewed sense of my purpose and what I'm here to do.
That's cool.
And so that's just really exciting for me. And I think that, again, just kind of seeing people come from a variety of backgrounds, figure out what they want to do, and then feel empowered in the process, and realize that they have the potential, they have the confidence, they have the talent and the skills to do it. So that's what keeps me here. Yeah.
It's nice.
What about you, Felix?
I really like working with people. I like education because everybody needs an education today. Everybody needs a piece of paper to say, I've had this level of education. And what I like about what I do is working with the student directly, encouraging them wherever they're at, academically in their life, whatever they're pursuing. And one of the things that I enjoy most is providing education to the student in the form of the advising, to educate them, educate the student out of myself having a job. So almost like if I teach them how to fish, they can do all this information on their own, not just here at San Antonio College, but at the university after they leave here. So I like to be able to try to do that and just give them support. I mean, we've all been through challenges before, so just to be a word of encouragement, saying,
yes,
you can do this.
Yeah.
It can happen. So
yeah, we're coworkers with them.
Yeah, we're here to empower them to reach their goals.
Exactly.
And to take ownership of their life.
Yeah.
Yes. Take ownership of your life. Do it. You got it. You can do this.
Very true.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sabrina, anything else you want to share with us, whether that's about yourself, whether that's about working with students, the spring registration?
Also, I would say follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We SAC Advising does have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. So shameless plug here. Follow us and. So that you can get information about important dates, but also so that you can get an inside look of how it is to be an advisor. Sometimes we take fun pictures. We also show a lot of the accomplishments of our advisors. So I would definitely recommend to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Definitely do that.
Yes.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's been great.
Yes, awesome.
It was so much fun.
I really enjoyed having you. Thank you.
And thank you too for joining us. And as always, you're important to us as a San Antonio College student, and we're here to help you as advisors. So just reach out, call us, ask us. Send me an email as well. Put in the subject line "College in Real Life," and you can send it to fcaballero16@alamo.edu. It's FCABALLERO16@alamo.edu, and we can answer your questions.
Yeah, and if you guys have any requests for topics that you want to hear, things that we may not have addressed yet, we're brand new, feel free to email Felix or myself. My email address is ctamez8@alamo.edu.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you for joining us.